It's hard to believe that, like, I think 9 years ago, I started watching the show. And now, I've been here for 9 years. And now here we are with the final episode of My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. Hey guys, Ranger here, and welcome back to the final episode, the final reaction review to MLP, which is The Last Problem. Now let's go ahead and dive in and enjoy the final episode of the show. Now, I do already know about Twilight getting as large as Celestia and Luna, because once the show was over, people started posting pics of Twilight on Facebook. And then there was also the crowning achievement event on the Game Loft game, which I ended up playing like a couple of weeks ago, I believe it was. And I do know about Luster Dawn. I don't know anything really about her character except her name. I got her. Unfortunately, I missed out on getting Big Twilight or Princess Twilight and Starlight, Future Starlight and Future Sunburst. Unfortunately, I missed out on that. Hopefully they'll do it again. But I do know about that. I don't know anything else. So let's begin. Start the video in 3, 2, 1, click. That's cute. Cute. Dang, the dragons are here.
I got here as soon as I could, but Friendship Ambassador is a full-time job these days. Making peace.
When did you get big?
The Indians and the Diamond Dogs has not been easy.
That's why I picked you for the job.
Big Twilight.
Glad you could come.
So, what's the emergency?
Ever since I took over Celestia's school, my focus has been on teaching magic. But now it seems my top student has missed the most important lesson of all.
What do you mean?
Let's just say it'll be good to have my royal advisor and friendship ambassador by my side.
Your Majesty, she's here.
Send her in, Gallus.
Gallus? Oh, she's adorable.
Your Majesty. Luster, I may be the ruler of Equestria, but I'm still just your teacher.
And you've been wonderful. I've enjoyed every moment at the School of Magic. But I'm just not sure it's the right place for me.
I see.
And it's not the work. I could spend weeks in the library doing research. It's just that there's a lot of focus on making friends.
If that's your problem, you've come to the right place.
But that's just it. I don't want to make friends.
What?
So you'd rather leave the School of Magic than make friends?
I was hoping to set up an independent course of study. I want to accomplish as much as you have someday.
It'll be hard to do that without friends.
I'm not so sure. Friendship looks like more of a distraction than anything else, and ultimately, a waste of time.
What?
I know you and your friends accomplished a lot together, but that was so long ago, and as far as I can see, you rule by yourself now.
Hello, Royal Advisor right here.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. In fact, I think it's better. Plus, if friendships ultimately fade, why even make them in the first place?
You know what, Luster Dawn? You're right.
What?
Okay. This is interesting. This jumped from... How far did this jump into the future? My gosh! And the final episode intro is exactly the same, but my gosh, how far did this jump? Okay, I'm glad also that Twilight still has her same demeanor and everything, that she's not speaking as regal as Luna and Celestia did. I'm glad Twilight's still her normal self, she's just taller. Like, somebody put some Miracle Grow on that girl.
Friendship is more trouble than it's worth? This is your top student?
Unless she's adorable.
Work, and there's no guarantee they'll last. They can be complicated, they can be messy, and they never go the way you plan. Friendship is a hard thing to navigate. I remember the first time I realized it might not last forever.
I saw...
Twilight?
Oh!
I'm
Going
pretty
to the
sure
past.
that's everything.
I'm just doing a final check, Spike.
But we did a final check of every room. Twice.
Aha! See? An issue of Power Ponies. Now aren't you glad we triple-checked?
Thanks, but I already read this one. I don't need to take it to Camelot.
No. You love Power Ponies. We're taking it.
Really, Twilight, we don't have to bring the comic. I'm not even sure how much longer I'll collect it. A lot is changing, and I am getting older.
Just because things change doesn't mean you leave everything you love behind. Oh.
You're not still worried about ruling Equestria, are you?
No, I know it took some time, but I've never been more ready for anything in my life. Just because I'm ready to sit on the throne in Canterlot doesn't mean I'm ready to leave Ponyville. When we were all fighting to save Equestria from T-Rex, Chrysalis, and Cozy Glow, I was too busy to think about it.
Derpy!
Now it's all happening at once.
What is?
The coronation, moving, leaving our friends.
I thought we'd all be ruling Equestria together.
Of course we will, but it won't be the same. They all have lives here. We're moving away and they're not, and I can't help but feel like we're leaving them behind. What if we all just drift apart?
Oh.
I guess I hadn't thought about it like that. Maybe you should talk to them. I bet they're feeling the same way.
You're right, Spike. Thanks. Sometimes talking to a good friend is all it takes.
See, that's why communication with your friends is always super important. Like, if you have worries or concerns, talk to them.
So, you're not worried about how things might change with me living in Canterlot?
Of course not. Change is natural, like the seasons. That's just life on the farm.
I guess so.
Anywho, I really need to get all these boxes packed and sorted. There's a lot more work now that the folks beyond Equestria are coming to the coronation, too.
Worried? No way! Unless you're talking about the coronation, because then, yes. Obviously the cakes are handled, but there's the whole rest of the party to stay on top of. Honestly, I'm not convinced Gummy really took care of the fireworks.
But what about after the coronation? Don't you think things are gonna be different?
Well, since I'll be in charge of all the Canterlot galas from now on, I'll have to go there a lot more. So, I guess that's different, but I don't think I mind.
No, of course not.
Wonderful work, everyone. We couldn't be more ready. Josephine, if you and the rest of the doves leave now, we should all arrive in Canterlot at the same time. Eloise and Hubert, you should go too. I know it's a long way, but don't worry. I'll bring plenty of snacks to restore your energy before we perform. Everyone else gets to ride, since the trip's too much for your little wings. We need everyone in tip-top shape for the coronation. I'm glad we got the chance for one last rehearsal. Everyone's so excited. But I can't imagine any pony's more excited than you. Moving to Canterlot, being crowned, I can't think of a single bad thing about any of it.
Yeah, me neither.
In 3, 2, 1, and...
What?
Look, Rainbow Dash, I know this is important to you, and we all want the routine to be special, but are you sure it needs to be this complicated?
Of course! And I know we can pull it off. Sorry, Twilight. I don't have time to talk. We've got a lot more work to do before the coronation.
Darling, change is an integral part of
I understand where Twilight's coming from. I do.
Considering opening boutiques for
I know the feel.
Things must evolve, or they become stale. For example, I was just
Really?
with a sudden inspiration to change my design for your gown,
Spiders!
including the webs of these star spiders. They glow for a short while after they're spun. They won't have much time to weave the sash, but the effect will be dazzling. You see, darling, change can be fabulous if you embrace it.
Starlight is supposed to come over soon. There's a little something we wanted to give you before we leave. You know what? I think you're right, Twilight. I should take my comics to Canterlot. We can't leave the Power Ponies behind.
I don't think the Power Ponies care, Spike. Just like all of our friends.
All right, Twilight. Are you ready? We all wanted to see you off, but there's still a lot to do.
Aren't you coming on the train?
I gotta go with Big Mac so we can go over our packing list, or we won't know who gets what deliveries.
And I'm gonna meet the Wonderbolt so we can go over the routine one last time. I'm going with Gummy. He said he knows when the fireworks display should start, but does any pony really believe that? And I still need to pick up food for the swans and doves who flew ahead to Canterlot. If I don't get them fed, they'll be too pooped to perform.
Well, I'll be living in Canterlot alone. Might as well take the train alone, too. Bye, I guess.
Oh, you won't be traveling alone, darling. I'll have just enough time on the train to weave the stuff spider sash for your gown. But we should leave now. There's no time to dawdle if you want the coronation to be perfect.
She's gonna explode.
That's the problem. You're also worried about making my coronation perfect, but I'm leaving Ponyville and none of you even care.
Exactly. You moved away, your friends didn't care, and that was that.
Actually, not exactly.
Of course we care that you're moving, Twilight.
I can't believe you think we don't. What could possibly make you think that?
I tried to talk to you all about how I was feeling, but you seemed more worried about what you had to do for the coronation.
It's true. I was there.
I suppose it gave us something else to focus on.
I knew you were worried about everything changing. I guess I thought if I made it seem like everything was okay, it would be.
I was just trying to make you feel better. That way I wouldn't feel so terrible.
Before I moved to Ponyville, I didn't really know what friendship was. You've all taught me so much. I can't believe it all might be ending.
It's not ending, okay?
But when I imagine the future, all I can think about is that we won't be together. I'm literally moving away from you and it's
And
terrifying.
I'm tearing up
I'm
again.
scared too.
Me too. Rattled to the core.
Yep.
I wouldn't say scared.
Not Applejack cries on the inside.
Just because I won't say it doesn't mean I don't feel it. I'm gonna miss you so much. I just can't stop thinking about how much things are going to change. What if we don't see each other? What if we don't talk as much?
What if we don't stay friends?
I know it's weird, but knowing you're all as upset as I am actually makes me less worried.
That's nice. But you should be more worried about missing the train to Canterlot.
Sorry I'm so late.
Starlight.
I actually thought I'd missed you.
There's no time!
Yeah!
Oh no, we missed it! But maybe...
You can
We're on the
teleport!
train. Everything should be fine, right?
I'd worked out exactly how much
Teacup
time I
Pony.
needed to weave my star spider sash, and now I'm behind.
I hope this man can figure out who gets what deliveries on his own.
I assume these contain the finest sparkling apple juice?
Yup.
Oh, the sweet apple acres applesauce for my coronation parfait.
Uh-oh.
This is the applesauce.
Yup.
I don't have the
Oh,
snacks
boy.
the doves and swans will need to perform after their long flight. I'd better find the food car.
No!
And I need to meet the Wonder Bolts. Where's the coronation team?
Well, they waited, but when you didn't show, they thought you must have meant to meet outside of Candlelight.
Oh crap.
The only thing I'm worried about is Gummy handling the fireworks display. But I'm sure it's fine.
So that's what started Fallout Equestria. It was Gummy the whole time. Oh, really?
Goodness, Twilight, are you all right? My friends and I had a few hiccups on the way, but everything's fine now.
There might be a few burning
We are
sheep,
both just
though.
so proud of you. If you need a moment, that's all right. It is your
She kind of needs
coronation.
to fix her hair. It's fluffed.
Although it would be nice to get started. Are you ready? No! She can't possibly be crowned without her coronation gown.
Very well. Citizens of Equestria and beyond.
I can't believe it.
My
Hey,
sisters
that's the
have
same
ruled the
dragon
land for quite
from
some
Dragon
time.
Shy.
But even we know that change eventually comes to us all. And though we know it can be unsettling,
Tempest!
it's as natural as the rising and setting of the sun and the moon, both of which my sister and I feel confident
Discord.
leading in the hooves of the pony.
Please don't put a corset on her.
I almost forgot.
And so,
Spiders?
without further
Wait!
ado, I
Oh, no.
give you the new
Oh, no.
ruler of Equestria,
Rarity!
Princess
Rarity!
Twilight Sparkle.
Sorry.
Oh, you can do that. Okay.
Twilight.
Uh-oh. Oh, boy.
Oh dear. I know these aren't the snacks I promised, but it's all I could find.
Uh-oh.
Well, dash or no dash, Twilight's about to get that crown. Wonderbolt, roll out!
Oh, crap!
No, wait!
Oh, balls! Hey, Gummy actually did it! I saw Quibble and his girlfriend.
Close enough.
Okay.
Luna's like normal day.
Your coronation was such a disaster that you and your friends never really recovered, and that's why you all drifted apart.
Well, you're half right.
So, the coronation wasn't a disaster, and your friendships just faded away over time?
Not exactly.
Sorry,
Pinky!
but it is so hard to find a sitter with a sense of humor for little cheese.
What?
Honestly, I would have been here sooner, but you would not
Boneless
how
six?
busy Yak-Yakistan is these days.
Maybe we could get to places on time if you let me do some of the chores instead of always doing everything yourself.
Maybe I would if you did them the right way. Oh, sorry. We're not the last ones, are we?
Was headed to an O&O convention where he'd be joining us.
I just assumed that since you aren't together all the time now, that we aren't friends. That's not the point of my story. It's true my coronation was a disaster.
Well, the opening of Disneyland in 55.
At least the coronation is over.
That was something.
I was just about to say the same thing.
I know maybe it wasn't the coronation you planned, but it's good to see all of you laughing.
We wanted to give this to you before you left Ponyville, but things got a little hectic.
Since you're moving away, we thought if you missed any of us, or Ponyville, this might help.
Oh,
Aww.
It's a book of memories.
oh my
And we all
gosh.
chipped in some.
No matter how much things change, you'll always have this to look back on.
I love it. Thank you so much. But I don't want to only look back. Obviously, the coronation wasn't perfect, but that doesn't matter. It's our relationships that really count, and we have to maintain them.
But now that we'll be living in different places, I'm not exactly sure how.
I am. I suggest we meet once a moon. In fact, my first royal decree as ruler of Equestria is to establish this Council of Friendship.
Yay!
And what a wonderful decree it is.
We always knew that whatever adversity you faced, you and your friends would find your way through it together.
We know Equestria is in the perfect hooves with you and your friends looking out for it. And while we'll always be here if you need us, it's time for us to be on our way.
You're leaving?
Where?
We hope you'll come and visit us in Silver Shoals.
But now it's time for you to rule on your own.
Is that a beach or a retirement home?
Capable.
Thank you for everything.
So, even though everything changed, and you moved away from your friends, you didn't grow apart? And this is the Council of Friendship. That's what you're all doing here?
Duh, this time every moon.
What she means is, this is how we've been ruling together.
And how we've continued to face every problem and threat to Equestria over the years.
But mostly, it's how we keep in touch. No matter how busy life gets.
Sometimes friendships can be hard, and it takes work to maintain them. But without friends, things can be a lot harder.
I never thought about friendship being something to work at, and I don't mind work. I guess if they don't have to fade away, maybe making friends isn't the waste of time I thought. But I've been so focused on my studies, I wouldn't know where to start.
That's all right, because I know exactly where to send you.
Ponyville.
When I started out, I was unsure. I thought I knew all that I needed, didn't know what to expect. But when my walls came down, I saw the truth. All along something was missing. And I think you'll see it too. This is where the magic happens. This is where the magic
Byron Bonbon. Derpy.
lives. Our friendships weave together stronger. The bonds grow deeper, lasting longer. And the greatest spell you'll know is how the magic of friendship grows. And no matter how
Pound of pumpkin!
much time goes by,
Oh, they look so good!
here with some things to try.
Pinky and
Big
cheese.
adventures waiting,
Yummy got big.
obviously. Long as we're still here
You're the wonderful
together,
captain, aren't you?
we'll be flying happily. This is where the magic happens. This is where the magic
Starlight and Sunburst!
lives.
He's beginning to look like Gandalf. Or Gandalf. Oh, the same thing. Oh, they're teachers now. The Kieran.
And the greatest spell there is, with the magic of friendship is. And it's something true to pass on down to generations yet.
Oh, their kid.
And we'll never stop believing in the generosity of the friendship.
They hooked up, didn't they?
And because the love that I feel for every single living creature is something that is real, friendship happens so naturally. Oh, and how I used to wonder what friendship could be. This is where the magic
Oh my gosh.
happens. This is where the magic lives. Our friendships weave together.
So many characters. So many.
Lasting longer. And the greatest spell you'll know
Everyone.
is how the magic of
Everyone.
friendship grows. How the magic of friendship grows.
Kieran. And that's the story. Oh man. Now it's time for the review of this. Honestly, I think that, personally to me, this was a very, very beautiful finale. It was. Now, it didn't explain how Twilight got to be so tall. It didn't explain that. But it did. I think that what the title of it, The Final Problem, really, the Last Problem, really did mean, and it was understandable about what the title meant, and it is something, it's something personal to me, but it is very much realistic. And honestly, I think what happened in the episode really fit. It was about it. The meaning is about it has a couple of different meanings actually. One, or a few different meanings. One is about change. You know, changes happen. It's something that a lot of times you cannot predict, you cannot help. Change occurs. And you can try to not really adapt to change, but you'll end up getting left behind. But it can be hard to adapt to changes. And another meaning is the importance of maintaining friendships. Throughout the 9 seasons, throughout the 10 years that we've watched this show, we learned about the magic of friendship, about the importance of that, of how we learned about the importance of friendship. And it's not just the show. We discovered that ourselves. Many people in the Brony fandom know that from personal experience, myself included. The people that we met, because through this fandom, there were many a friendship forged. And we have this show, and we have this fandom to thank for that. Because had it not been for this show, had it not been for this fandom, many of us would not have discovered the friends that we have now. Many of us would not have discovered a passion or discovered ourselves. This show helped many people through many tough times in their lives, and helped many of us to evolve and become the people that we are today. Now, some people, yes, tossed that aside and backslid all the way down to the bottom and even further, and completely tossed it aside. But there are those who also held strong to it and have kept that. Personally, to me, this was a very interesting episode. I think it was a very, very interesting episode. It was a very sweet episode. And personally, I think this was a really good finale. You know, nothing big and epic occurred. It was a very sweet, sentimental episode. And there's a few different things that we noticed in this episode as it progressed. Whenever the episode completely begins, we're introduced... Whenever the episode begins, we actually get to see Twilight and Spike. We see Spike is now big. He's bigger. I don't know how long that took for him to grow to that point. I really have no idea. That wasn't explained. I guess leave it up to your imagination. But we are introduced to this very adorable character, Luster Dawn. And I love her voice acting. I love her design. And I remember I saw over on the MLP Gameloft thing, on the MLP Gameloft Reddit, someone made a remark that they speculated that this might be Starlight and Sunburst's child, that this might be their daughter, because, like, in one of her costumes she even had, like, Sunburst's robe or something. And, I mean, if you look at it, her hair is kind of like that of Sunburst. It has the same sort of flow, almost the same style as Starlight's. And she's a unicorn like Starlight. And Sunburst, she's a unicorn like them. But her cutie mark is like Sun, Luster, Dawn. You have Starlight, Sunburst. Okay, actually it kind of fits. What comes between that? You have Starlight, which is like moonlight, starlight. And then you have Sunburst, which is like the morning sun. What else do you have? Dawn. You have morning. I mean, you have dawn. You have dawn, you have sun, which is like the midday, then you have starlight. And so it kind of fits. Like, here is Luster Dawn. It really does fit. So this might not be their child, their daughter, but I really want to pretend that it is. I really want to pretend that it is. But she's adorable. But as we see in the beginning, she is concerned. And honestly, I kind of don't... She is like Twilight. Whenever Twilight first was sent to Ponyville, Twilight just wanted to focus on studying. She was concerned about Nightmare Moon. And she didn't have a desire at the time to make friends. She had no desire to make friends. But she was sent to Ponyville because Celestia knew that it would be better for Twilight to do that. And Twilight ended up forging friendships. And friendships that she came to depend on. And Luster Dawn is exactly like that, because, you know, but she also has another concern, which honestly, I honestly relate to this character. Luster Dawn has no desire to make friends because she believes that if you're going to drift apart and it's all going to fall apart later, why even take a chance? And honestly, I relate to that. That is honestly one of the reasons why I'm paranoid of the concept of dating. Why I'm paranoid about trying to make friends, because I think, what if something happens? Like, I don't want a 10-year friendship plan. I want a lifetime friendship plan, okay? I don't want a 10-year or 25-year romance. I want, you know, I want 50 years out of it at least. But nothing is guaranteed. And so I think, I mean, I can relate to this character, but I really can understand this character. Like, I'm not faulting her whatsoever, because I understand that paranoia. I understand that fear. Because losing someone close to you whenever you've been together for a long time, it hurts like a freaking bitch. I mean, it tears you apart. And oftentimes, for some people, it makes you paranoid. There's one of two things that usually occur. You either, A, you're desperate to fill that void within you, so you try to jump out there and try to find the first person that you can to try to replace, and you try to use them, not for them, you try to replace the person that you lost. And it's always a mistake to do that. And the second thing is you become paranoid. You're afraid to put yourself back out there. And this also makes me think about Moondancer. You know, Moondancer, Twilight hurt Moondancer. Unintentionally, but Twilight did. And so Moondancer was afraid to put herself back out there again. And so she had to learn to open herself up again. And here, Luster was concerned. And she was looking at making friendships kind of as a bit more of a chore. You know, and Twilight started to explain about what happened. And Twilight herself felt concerned. And honestly, this is also relatable. This episode, and I have to say, I love this episode. I do. I honestly love this episode. This is honestly one of my favorite episodes of the whole show. But it's also a bittersweet episode for me. And even while I can say that I love the episode, it's also one of those episodes that it kind of hurts me to say that I love, because the relatability that I feel for what Twilight was going through in this episode, about being concerned about drifting apart, and, you know, drifting apart from those that you care about, drifting apart from your friends, the people that you've come to love, it hurts. And it is a huge concern, and it's something myself I have dealt with. I have dealt with this so many times. You know, like, I've always, like, I mean, I relate to that. I understand that. And it makes me paranoid. You know, I mean, I've had people that in my life, I've had people before in my past that we drifted apart. I've had people in my life that no longer wanted me to be a part of their life, and so they completely tossed me aside. And I know the pain. I know the hurt of having people turn their back on you, of drifting apart. And so it hurts. It's a scary thing. It's a scary thing about losing those around you. And Twilight was feeling that fear. I know that fear. I know that paranoia. I know that pain. Honestly, I would have to say, if I had a choice between being shot in the stomach and losing a friend and having to deal with it, I'd take the bullet. I'd rather deal with the bullet, because at least it would eventually put me out of my misery. I've heard that getting shot in the stomach is the slowest and most painful way that you can die. At least I think that's what it is. I know it's one of the most painful. But I'd rather deal with that than the mental and emotional suffering that we go through of losing a friend. But Twilight tried to talk to all of her friends, and every single one of her friends was busy with different tasks that was related to Twilight's coronation. And she began to feel that they didn't care. They were so caught up with trying to help with the coronation, she began to feel like they wanted her to leave, that they were excited to get rid of her. And she was just upset. And then she found out none of them were taking the train with her. And honestly, I relate to Twilight here. You know, like, you're going to go somewhere and you don't really know what's going to happen, and then someone is like, yeah, sure, whatever, you know, take care. And you're like, Thanks. Thanks. You know, I mean, while I love this episode, the relatability that I feel here, this was hitting me like a freaking brick. I related to this on such a deep level. And then Twilight began to explain, and I knew she was going to break. I knew she was going to break whenever everyone was talking to her. I knew she was eventually going to break. And there was that moment where you could see her eyes, and like, this is a moment where you can see like all the pain and anger that she is feeling is just built up within her, until finally she snaps and she reveals that she's, you know, that she doesn't feel that they are concerned, that they want her to leave, and that they don't care. As it turns out, every one of them, it turns out, and this is also something that I can relate to myself, this really is, every one of them, it turns out, they weren't busy with the stuff that they were doing because they were trying to, because they were just not concerned or not worried or care, you know, not because they didn't care. It's, they were doing what they were doing because it was keeping them busy. Applejack said it, they were trying to keep busy, to try to keep them from thinking about it. They were trying to busy themselves to try to keep their minds off of it. And again, this is something I can relate to 100%. There are so many times that I have done that, that I have tried to busy myself with different things. I made a video back in December or November about some of the things I was going through at the time, about feeling isolated from a friend and some of the other things, and I know the feeling of that, you know, I know it's something that a lot of us are guilty of. I don't know if it's healthy or not, but who the freak cares? You know, like, we do it. We busy ourselves. I've done it. Busied myself with things to try to help me to keep my mind off of things that I knew if I thought about, it would sink me into an emotional pit of despair and suffering. And I tried to busy myself with it to try to keep my mind off of it, to try to occupy myself. And that's exactly what all of them were doing, because the concept of Twilight leaving, it was tearing them all up inside. And it was tearing them all up inside, but they were trying to do different things so that they wouldn't have to face, that reality. And I totally relate to that. But it was hilarious that the concept that they ended up having to teleport onto the train because they missed the train. And I love the fact that nothing went perfect in this. That them trying to get to the coronation, and the coronation itself was basically like the Disneyland opening of '55. It was not the best in the world. I think that's hilarious and fun that they did that. We also see Derpy on the train. I just now noticed that. One thing I have to question, though, is if Twilight can teleport them onto the train, why does she teleport them to Canterlot? Maybe it's limited, you know, because Twilight, they have taken the train before, so maybe it has to do with the limit of what a unicorn can do. Maybe long-distance teleportation is not really a thing, because, you know, Celestia has flown from Canterlot before. Maybe long-distance teleportation isn't a thing. Maybe there's just a certain amount of distance that a unicorn can actually teleport. I don't know. You know, the concept of unicorn magic has always been something a bit of a mystery to me. Like, I've always wondered, okay, like, if you want to know where a character is, if you think about that character, does it act like a GPS, and your magic just teleports you to where that character is? Or is there a limit to how far magic will let you go? I've always wondered that, and it's never actually been explained in the show, not that I recall. So yeah, that's interesting. But I have to say, this character here we've seen, I think I have this character on the phone game, but I think it's adorable that how the moment that she gets this, she sees the spiders and she like moves her little hoof closer to the end there, and she has this concern like, what the freak did you just bring? And then she sees these spiders. She's like, crap, this is not gonna be good. Also, noticing other characters, we notice Capper is back. Capper's in the audience, as well as Tempest. I think it's also interesting that Tempest appears to be wearing the same outfit that she wore in the comic. There was a comic that showed Tempest before she met the Storm King. And so it's interesting to see Tempest here and Capper, you know. But it's interesting to see Tempest is no longer wearing the armor that she wore. Now she appears to be wearing the same outfit that she wore whenever she was in the comic strip. Of course, Derpy's present. Oh, and we see Rose and the Doctor. And she's got her... Rose, yes. Rose and the Doctor. And Rose has her hoof on the Doctor's hoof. That's cool. Honestly, Rose was always my favorite character from... of the companions from Doctor Who, Rose was always my favorite character. And again, like I said, I think it's hilarious and honestly sweet that Twilight's coronation didn't go 100% as planned. That things kind of went off like a bit of a disaster. And of course we do get there was some other characters taking note of. Oh my gosh, there's some other characters I just now noticed in the audience. AK Yearling's there. That's cool. We see AK Yearling. She's there. That's cool. We see the Kieran, which is awesome. And we see Twilight's #1 fan. We see Quibble, his girlfriend, maybe wife now, and his daughter. And we also see Burnt Oak, which is cool. Fluttershy's brother, Zephyr, Babs. And also Luna's dismissal of the whole thing was just hilarious because it's kind of like Luna has been around long enough now that she's just like, this is normal. Who cares? Who gives an F? I love how Luna's just like, screw it. I don't care. At least no one died. As long as no one died, I'm fine. And other things to take note of that I have to mention is Pinky and Little Cheese with Boneless 6. And we get to see the other characters as well. All the other characters return. We see Rarity, of course, and looking regal as ever. She's got a little bit of gray in her hair. Rainbow Dash and Applejack. Applejack is now wearing a scarf, pretty much like Granny Smith to a degree. Her hair's looking a little bit frazzled. Rainbow, her hair's different. Her hair's kind of like Spitfires, and I'm guessing now she's the captain of the Wonderbolts, which I think is pretty cool. Fluttershy, also with Discord. Cute. Discord brings her. Fluttershy's hair looks cute that way. He brings her like a little knapsack or something. And like I said, Pound and Pumpkin Cake look good. It's great to see them older. I was always kind of curious what they would look like whenever they were older. And of course, Starlight and Sunburst now running the school together, which is adorable. Starlight and Sunburst running the school, and Sunburst has a bit more of a goatee rocking there. And that's cool. Starlight, like her costume. I still want to believe that Luster Dawn is their daughter. Just kind of the way, well, I was going to say the way she stands right there, you could say it probably could be her. And of course, we get to see the CMCs again in their older form. So they're rocking that older form. They look good that way. And the Kieran is also part of that, which is adorable. I love the Kieran. You see Trixie, of course, in the back. Trixie, of course, she's the student counselor now. So again, keeping up, that's adorable. I gotta say, I really think the school's in good hooves. And we also get the Apple family. We see Sugar Belle, Big Mac, and their son, Little Appleful, I think is what the game called him. But yeah, really cool on that. So they have a son. That's awesome. Wondered about this little character coming out of the shop right here. And Sandbar, I'm guessing, and Yona did actually hook up, and it looks like Yona might actually be working at the shop. And of course, Discord is there with Fluttershy. He's a king of chaos. He doesn't age, so. And in the final shot, we see some of the other characters right here coming up to Luster Dawn, you know, like speaking to her. We see another Griffin. We see another Kieran, another Pony, and a Yak as well. And so we see the main 6 standing here during the sunset while we watch while we watch Luster Dawn and her friends, and we see the night transform behind them, and we get to see the book close. And it's funny because the show opened up with this book telling us about Nightmare Moon, and then it closes with the same book. So it's like all of this was just one big story. But it was interesting, though, that I gotta say, Luster Dawn, like I said, she's a very interesting character. But at the end of the episode, after Twilight explaining about her friends, and what they went through during her coronation and everything, Luster Dawn begins to see things differently. Twilight and her friends, particularly Twilight, helps Luster to see that friendship, that if you can make a friendship work, friendship takes work to maintain. And I've kind of said this before, that friendship is like a garden, and it takes care and dedication to it to help it to grow into something beautiful. It will not do anything if you don't do anything to tend to it. It will just stay there. It won't grow or anything. But if you tend to it and you nurture it and help it to grow, it can grow into something really beautiful. And I've said that before, and here it's basically that. Luster perceive friendship to not really be worth it, is particularly if you drift apart, if you drift apart, if you fall apart. But through Twilight, she was able to realize that friendship could be worth making if you're willing to make the dedication to make it work, and if everyone is committed to it. Friendship is a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. It takes both people to make an effort to make it work. And if you're both dedicated to it and both want it to work, and then if you're both dedicated to it and want it to work, then you can make it work. And here, she was able to realize that friendship could be worth it. And like Twilight said, friendship can be challenging at times, but life's even harder without it. And I have to agree with that. And so Luster ends up beginning, at the very end of it, we see her running off with some other characters. And so it's believed that, she comes to Ponyville, and she ends up making friends with some of these other characters here. She sees that friendship can be fun, and it could be worth it. And we see her talking here to another yak, to another pony, to a Kieran, and to a Griffin. And so I think it could be believed that, yeah, she's going to make some really good friends here, and she too will learn the importance of friendship and how much friendship can have a very positive effect on your life. And it's interesting here because in this shot we actually also get to see a few other things. We see the sun setting on the group behind them. We see the sun setting, which I think is kind of fitting for the shot. And then over here we see Carousel Boutique. Or sorry, we see, not Carousel Boutique, sorry, we see Ponyville, we see City Hall, we see Twilight's Castle in the background, and then we see Sweet Apple Acres over here on the left. And so I think it's a very good contrast with the three of these big things. We don't see Canterlot here, but we were in Canterlot prior. But I think it's interesting that we get to see these right here, kind of just here together. And I think that Luster will end up making some really good friends with these characters here. And I think she will make some really good friends with these characters, and hopefully has some really great adventures. But I gotta say, Luster, she's definitely one of my favorite characters now. I love her design, I love her voice acting, but like I said, I really relate to Luster, and I think personally to me, this was a really great finale to the show. I think this was a really great finale to the show. We got to see all the characters here together, and we got to see them still be friends. And that was a concern that Twilight had, and everyone, was that what if after Twilight moving, what if they drifted apart? What if things began to wither away between them? And they realized that, none of them want the friendship to fall apart. They were worried, they were fearful of losing that friendship. And so all it took was them maintaining that friendship. Just because Twilight moved doesn't mean that they can't still visit her, doesn't mean that they can't still maintain contact and still, hang out and still be friends. And like I said, friendship it requires maintenance to keep it going. You can't just, it's kind of like a vehicle. You can't just drive it around and expect to never have to maintain it. You have to maintain it to keep it going. And a friendship is like that. And it requires, a constant maintenance, to keep it going. Interaction, openness, honesty, loyalty, dedication, devotion. And that's what they have here, and they realize that. And I think this was a really good message for the final episode, about maintaining the friendships that you've made. And I think it's pretty fitting in more ways than one, because one, it works for other people that just watch the show, that they had made friends maybe over the course of the show, other friends in their life outside of the show, outside of the fandom. And I think for the final message about maintain those friendships, I think it's a very good final message. And that some things change, but that doesn't mean that you have to leave everything behind. Just because there are some changes that happens in your life, it doesn't mean you have to leave everything behind or forget about it. And I think it also works very well for the Brony fandom as well, that the friendships that people have forged within the fandom, just because the show is over doesn't mean that it has to end. Doesn't mean the friendships have to end, and that, you have to maintain that. And I think it's a really good final message, and it's also about the importance that friendship can help make you stronger. Life is difficult with friendship, but it's harder without friendship. You need positive people around you to help you through difficult times, and you help each other. You're there for one another, and that's something that we've seen throughout the show. And I think it's a very good final message. And Luster Dawn is, like I said, I honestly relate to her, and I see that. I see the relatability with her, and I relate to Twilight and what all the other characters felt about being fearful, concerned. And I think it was a really good final message. And it's really amazing, honestly, that all of this kind of continued and carried on. And it's about, it kind of sends forth a new message for the next generation and for years and years to come. Maintain the friendships that you make. And I cannot say that I myself am going to learn from this message, but I can honestly review it and analyze it. And I think that one of the messages also is, don't be afraid to take a chance on a friendship. You can live with the belief that what's the point of making a friend whenever it's just going to fall apart, or you can make a friend, take that chance, and maybe make a best friend. And I think that's also a message, is take a chance, don't be afraid, and just strike out, and don't be afraid to make friends, and be open. And you never know where that path may lead you. And I think that is a message as well. But I think it's a really cool and really heartfelt finale to the show, to see these characters, and it's great to see all the characters still together, and being a part of that. And I think it's something that I think everybody at some point, not just for the show, but in real life, the concern about drifting apart from friends that you've made. And there are times whenever it's inevitable. I've been there before. People, like I said, I've had people toss me aside, but sometimes, there are people right now that have forged friendships, and I'm pretty sure that some people in this fandom, they're going to be lifelong friends, And that's the kind of friendship that I myself want. I want the kind of friendship that these characters have. The kind of friendship that whenever we're elderly, and I'm not saying the characters are elderly here, but I'm saying whenever I'm elderly, I want to be able to be there with a friend that I've known for years and years, and look back and say it was a lot of fun. It was great. That's the kind of friendship that I want, and I think this was a really great season finale to the show. I have to say. I really have to say, I really think this is a really great season finale to the show. I think it was a really great message, and I think it's a really great thing for people to think on, after the show ends. I really do think that. I do think that, you have to, I think it is also important, loyalty to your friends, and I think it's also definitely important, honesty, loyalty, devotion, openness, open-mindedness, and confidence are very important things. And I think this was a really good season finale to end the show with. I think it was. It's great to see. It's amazing to see how far the show has come. Some animations don't last as long as this show has. Some don't last outside of 2 or 3 seasons. This show lasted for a whole 9 seasons. 10 years of Pony. That's an amazing feat. And I know the show's over now, and it's sad. It's sad that we won't have any brand new adventures in the show, but the fun is not over. The fun is not over. But there's a few additional things that I want to say before I end this video. Now, first off, finishing with the review, I love this episode. I do. It's definitely one of my most favorite episodes of the show. And it does leave a lot open. I'm very curious about what artists and fan fiction writers will do with Luster Dawn. I'm very curious about that. But I really enjoyed this episode. I loved it. I did. It was a fun episode. It was comical. I think it's fun that Twilight's coronation didn't go swimmingly. It was flawed. It was almost a complete disaster. But I think that's cool. I think it's great because, it's about, even though it was a disaster, they were able to laugh about it and have fun with it and just roll with it. And I think that's great. I think it's great. And I personally believe that not everything has to go completely perfect. Just as long as you can laugh and have fun with it, laugh it off. I think that's important. And I think it's great that her coronation didn't go completely flawless. I think that, it's definitely still a memory that they'll be able to look back on and laugh about. And I think that's great. It's not the opening of Disneyland in '55. It wasn't phenomenal, but, the part survived. And that's a good thing. But I did enjoy this. I really did. And so one of the things that I want to say is thank you to Lauren Faust, to Emma Larson, to everybody that worked on this show, the writers, the animators, the voice actors, voice actresses, character designers, the musicians, Daniel Ingram, everybody that made this show possible over the past 9 seasons, over the past 10 years, everybody involved with the show, thank you. Thank you to everybody for giving us this show and for helping through this show many of us to discover ourselves and our friends' passions that we never knew hobbies, passions that we never knew that we could do and that we would end up loving. So thank you to everybody for creating the show. Thank you to Lauren for making G4, and thank you to everybody that kept the show going over the past 9 seasons and 10 years. Thank you so much to everybody that worked on this show, that made it possible over the years, that kept it going, kept it so much fun and lively. Thank you all so much. Thank you. I can never begin to say thank you enough, but thank you to everybody from the bottom of my heart. Thank you all. Thank you so much. and it's been an incredible run. So I want to give a clap. I don't know if any. I know this. I know this isn't much, but thank you, and congratulations to everybody for 9 years. I mean, sorry, for 10 years, 9 seasons of this show. That is an amazing feat. That is something incredible for not just for My Little Pony, but for any show in general, because some shows don't last that long. So that's an incredible feat, and I think that we should be happy. We should be proud that something like this made it that long. I think we should be proud and happy of that, and I am. But there are a couple of other things that I want to say before I end this. First off, I do want to say, Lord, thank you so much for blessing me to discover the show, discover the fandom, and allowing me to be a part of it. Thank you so much for that. And I also want to say thank you to the fandom for inspiring myself and so many other people, for being so warm and welcome that you've been. This fandom is home to me, and I'm a part of several different fandoms, but I gotta say, the Brony fandom is the most awesome of the fandoms that I'm a part of, and I love it, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to stay. And so thank you as well. Thank you to the Brony fandom and everybody in the Brony fandom. And I also want to say 2 more things. First off, the show is over. This is the final episode. The show is over, and I know some people are probably wondering, what's in store for you now? What am I going to do now? I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving the fandom. I'm a Brony for life. I'm not going anywhere. This channel is still going to be pony related. That little avatar that you see down there below or up here on the corner, that's my OC. My OC is not going anywhere. I'm proud of my OC. Ember, she's not going anywhere. She's staying. And I'm not leaving the fandom. I'm here to stay. Now that the show is over, there are still tons of fan-made MLP videos that I've never watched before that I can actually now explore and check out now. And, kind of take a trip back in time. And there's still lots of MLP-related things I can do on the channel as well. So, I'm a Brony for life. I'm not going anywhere. The show may be over, but I'm not going anywhere. And I'm also saying that about the fandom too. I don't care how many people say that the show is over with, that the fandom is done for. It's not. It's not. It's here to stay. The Brony fandom isn't going anywhere. I'm telling you right now, the Brony fandom isn't going anywhere. Just because the show is over doesn't mean the fun has to end. The Brony fandom isn't going anywhere. Now, I know there were a number of people that said that whenever the show is over, they're done. Heck, I had someone comment on one of my videos, or on the community section on my page, on my channel, that said whenever the show is over, they're leaving the fandom. To me personally, those aren't real fans. Those were never real fans to begin with. That's just me. Kiss had their farewell tour, and if anybody were to look at me and say, well, the moment that Kiss stopped touring or stopped doing music, that was the moment I stopped listening to them, I would say, then you're not a real Kiss fan. Kiss may not do any more music, but I'm still going to listen to their music, dang it. And there's still reruns of the show. There's still fan-made content. There's still adventures will still continue through fan fiction and stuff. So, yeah, it doesn't have to end. It's not going to end. And the Brony fandom isn't going anywhere. We are here to stay. I don't care what other people think or what other people say, and we're here for good. And just a few people can make a fandom, and there's more than just a few people out there. And like I said, some people left the fandom the moment the show was over. Those aren't real fans. The show is over, the people that are still here are the real fans. Kiss stopped performing. The people that stopped listening to Kiss, they weren't real Kiss fans. Real fans stick around. And to me, the people that are still here are the real true fans. People that are still here. I look at people that leave the moment that the fun is over as bandwagon hoppers, you know. But that's just me. But the fandom is here to stay. The fandom's not going anywhere. We will still live on, and there's still plenty of people. Heck, there's still newcomers into the fandom today. And so we're not going anywhere. I'm a brony for life. I'm not going anywhere ever. This channel, still pony. It's still going to stay pony. These shirts that I have, I'm still going to be wearing them. And so I'm a brony for life. That's not going to change. And so you never have to worry about me drifting apart from the fandom. Bullcrap. I'm here for good. But it's hard to believe now that, you know, it's sad now knowing that there will no longer be any more new episodes of MLP on the channel. I am sad about that. But like I said, there are still plenty of other MLP related videos that I can still check out. And we still have G5 whenever it comes out as well. There will still be pony stuff here. That's not going to change. But like I said, it's hard to believe how far we've come. But I look at it, I look at it honestly like the ending of this show. Like how this show ended, how this episode ended with the closing of a book. The show and the fandom for G4, both the show and the fandom for G4, we've closed the book, the first book. We've closed the book on our first journey, on our first adventure. But now we have that whole book to flip back on, like a photo album, of the memories that we've made, to reminisce. But now, there's nothing to stop us from making another journey, making more memories. We've only just closed the first book. We can still write more books. And I'm not done writing. I may have closed, like the show, the book has closed for one. But there's plenty of room on that shelf for more books. And I, for one, am willing and ready to make more books. To fill up more books with more memories and more stories. Now, I know there are people that have already left the fandom. You know what? You're gone. Alright, fine. But there are people here that are still here. That knows, like me, that there's still memories to be made and fun to be had. And we're here for good. And so, I'm not going anywhere. And so I'm asking you, how many of you are ready? The vehicle is, I just filled up the tank. I'm ready to set off on the next journey. Who's ready to pile in with me and let's make that journey? I said before that I wasn't leaving the fandom. That I wanted to stay because I wanted to see what was at the end of that road. I always said that I wanted to be able to look back and see the road that we traveled down. And now looking back, it has been a heck of a ride. It's been a heck of a ride. Yeah, there were bumps and potholes and maybe some tornadoes and storms along the way. But we made it. We made it. And I'm honestly proud and happy that I can say that I saw this journey through to the end. I saw this journey through to the end. I'm one of those that actually got to stay till the end of one journey. But there's always more journeys to make. It doesn't have to end. The fun doesn't have to end. And it doesn't have to end as long as we don't let it end. We've already made one journey. And I said that I wanted to stick around to see it. And I did. And I'm happy. Yeah, I'm sad that this journey is over. But I'm also proud and happy because I know that I stuck through, that I made it through to the end, and I saw it all the way through. And I'm happy and proud of that because not everybody has a chance now to say that. And so I'm happy that I stuck to it, that I devoted myself to it because I wanted to. I wanted to see it through. I wanted to see the end of that journey. I wanted to see where that road led. And I'm happy that I can look back on it now and see how far that we've come. But one book, just like the show here, one book is closed. That doesn't have to be the only book we ever make. We have one photo album now full of memories that we've made. That's only one book, and it's up on the shelf. But there's another book here that is empty and ready to be filled with more memories and more fun. So, picking up my fictional quill here, I'm ready to start on the next book. I'm ready to start filling this book up with new memories and put it right next to that first one, to this one. How many are ready to make that new journey with me? How many are ready to make new memories and start writing our next adventure, the sequel, part 2? Are you ready to make that journey with me? I'm ready, because there's more room up on this shelf, and there's only one book here. Let's fill this shelf up. Let's get another bookshelf in here and start filling it up. The fun doesn't have to end as long as we don't let it. And I'm not ready to stop having fun. So, thank you again to everybody that worked on this show. Thank you to Hasbro, DHX, everybody that made this show possible. Thank you to the Brony fandom, to all the Bronies and Pegasisters out there, both even those who have left the fandom, those who are still in the fandom, to all of you who have inspired so many of us over the years to help us to do what we're doing now. Thank you to everybody in every single area of the fandom, and thank you guys as well for sticking around throughout this journey. Now I know some of you probably leave this channel now that the show is over, and if you want to leave, I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But I'm a Brony for life, and I'm not leaving the fandom just because the show ended. And my channel, there's things I want to branch out and do on my channel. Gaming is one, and I hope to start doing that really soon. But I'm still a Brony. And even if it's just wearing an MLP shirt, there will always be something MLP on my channel. I'm not straying away from the fandom that is a home to me. There are people that have basically welcomed me into the fandom of sorts, and I'm not turning my back on them. I'm not turning away from the people that see me in this fandom. I'm not going to do that. So I'm here to stay. Brony for life, yo. Brony for life. So, thank you again to everybody. It's been a heck of a ride, and I'm sad to see one book close, but there's more books right here that are empty that can be filled, and I'm ready to start filling them up. So, thank you again for joining me. Hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know your thoughts as well. And I will see you in the beginning of our next adventure. Take care.
I used to wonder what friendship could be, until you all shared its magic with me.